And next on our guest list is the head football coach of the 3-2 Niles Red Dragons, Jim Parry, joining us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Coach Parry, how are you today, sir?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thank you very much for taking some time. I know you guys are taking on Girard in the final regular season game, and Niles looking to get a winning season as you look for your fourth victory of the season. I'm sure you've gotten word as to who you will be playing in round one of the OHSAA playoffs. Where are you guys seated in D3 Region 9, and who are you guys hooked up with in the first round of the tournament?
Well, it looks like we do have a home game. We're the 15th seed, and we'll be playing Ravenna. So, we're happy to obviously be able to play one more time at home. And, it looks like on paper, it looks like probably a good matchup, although I really don't know much about them at all. So we're going to have to do our homework here pretty fast.
Yeah, I will. I could fill in some holes for you guys. Ravenna is right now 2-3 on the campaign, and I do some quick looking. Their losses this year, they lost to undefeated Streetsboro last week, 63-14. The week prior, they took on Field and lost to them 42-14. Week 2, they lost to a 3-2 Coventry team, 26-23. Their victories this year, Norton, who is 1-4. They beat Norton on opening night 14-7, and they defeated Akron Springfield in week 3, 37-0. Springfield is 0-5. So the two teams that they have won, their combined record 1-9. The two teams that they have lost, or the three teams they've lost to, a combined record of 11-4, and they're playing Cloverleaf this Friday night. Cloverleaf is 4-1 on the campaign, so a little advanced thing for you guys.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, those losses to Streetsboro and Field, there's no shame in that. Those are two really good football teams. So, it kind of sounds similar again. I mean, our losses coming off of, with Poland and South Range, obviously both having great years this year. So, again, I think it sounds like, probably a toss-up.
The idea, or not the idea, the fact that you guys are playing in the Northeast 8, that gets you ready for the postseason. That's a really, really nice league, and obviously you guys have been able to play a solid schedule. Poland, South Range, Struthers, Lakeview. You take on Girard this week. It's a meat grinder league, week in, week out, and I got to believe that's preparing you guys for the postseason.
Yeah, I really think it's a lot of fun, our league. I mean, really, last year, if you look at it, there was kind of a round robin. Other than Poland, everybody else was exchanging blows all year. And for our end of it, we look at it, if you can get out of the league and be successful, that does prepare you. Last year, Poland was obviously made the run there. The year before, Girard, even though the league hadn't formed, those were teams that that entered in the league. So yeah, if you come out of the NE8 on top, I think you set yourself up for success in the playoffs. With the caveat there is we're Division 3, so we're one of the bigger schools in there, and Region 9 is just absolutely loaded with good teams. So you really got to be on top of your game to compete in our region.
Oh, there's no question about that. I mean, you got Chardon, you got Streetsboro, you got New Philadelphia. Oh, by the way, you got Canfield. Those are four really good teams. It's top heavy. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, and there's even some teams that I don't even think you mentioned there, like Aurora and Steubenville. I mean, they're St. V's. I mean, it's a really, really good region, and the playoffs are supposed to be hard. So that's just we trying to get our program to that level, and we're excited we get to compete and see where we're at.
Coach, talk about the getting to that level and what you guys have been able to instill in some of the underclassmen. I mean, no disrespect to the seniors, but it's their final year, and they're not going to be back in the program next year. For the underclassmen, how great of a growth have you guys had from week 1 to on the precipice of week number 6. How much of a growth have you had with the underclassmen?
Well, I think quite a bit, to be honest with you. We were really concerned about our offensive line coming in the year with one starter. And here we are, entering in week 6, and we've given up 2 sacks on the entire year. So those kids have really grown up for us. And then skill-wise, those kids have done a great job, though we've hit the injury bug a little bit in some of those skill positions, and which has even had us dig down a little bit further into our underclassmen. We really, really like the skill of our underclassmen. It's just, they're underclassmen, and there's no exchange for that game experience. So, come tomorrow night, we'll have 2-3 freshmen, maybe 4 freshmen out there one time, and that's a little scary, but it also does, let us feel pretty good about the future.
Oh, no question about that, and obviously, Niles is a program that is steeped in tradition. You go way back in the day, in the early to mid '60s. Niles was year in, year out a team that was ultimately playing for what was then a mythical state championship, because you didn't have the OHSAA playoffs. And that year in, year out, some of the old timers in Niles will tell some stories about those great teams.
Yeah, and that's fun, and we really use that as a pillar of our program. That we want to live up to that tradition. One thing that we've done since I've been there, we bring in an alumni speaker before every game, and talk to our players after our prayer service. And what's really nice about there is you hear a lot of the same things over and over again. And I think our kids are starting to get an understanding that they play at a special place, and they're holding the torch right now, and they have to lay their legacy down. So I really love the idea of the tradition. Some people get, these guys got to get out of the 60s and the 70s, but to me, I think it's the opposite. I think we need to celebrate that and understand that that's what we're trying to do.
Coach, you're going to be taking on a Girard Indians team that, well, talk about tradition. They've been to the top of the mountain. It wasn't that long ago, 2 years as a matter of fact, when they were playing for a state championship. Talk about what you have seen on film that sticks out in your mind when we talk Girard Indians.
Well, anybody that's seen Girard play over the last, we could probably go back 20 years or more now. I think you get an idea what you're going to get. They spread the ball around. They move the ball so effectively. And then defensively, they just like to be aggressive. They bring pressure at times, and their kids get after it. And, Niles and Girard football games have typically been very entertaining, and last year was no exception. It was a back-and-forth affair, and then we ended up coming out on top at the end. But I expect it to be another one of those, likely. Our quarterback, Zach Leonard's had a hot hand lately. And, Girard's been putting up buckets of points, too. So, I would be surprised if we were in one of those 10-7 games, but you never know.
Two great venues, and it's unfortunate that we're living in a COVID world where only 15% of capacity is allowed, because on a Friday night when these two teams are matched up, whether it's Bo Ryan Stadium or Arrowhead Stadium over in Girard, either facility would be jam-packed with people. It's a shame that you're only going to get 15% of capacity Friday night in Girard.
It is. The alternative is no fans, I think, at this point. I'd love to see that number boosted up a little bit. Or, one thing you miss on the road is you miss your own band, and hearing some of that. But like I said, the alternative would be not playing at all or playing in front of no fans. So at the end of the day, as long as we continue to get to play football on a Friday night, we're going to take it.
I know you guys had a little bit of a hiccup in terms of COVID, although you didn't miss any games. How surprised are you that, knock on wood, how surprised are you that we've been able to have so few problems in terms of teams getting their games in the area?
Yeah, well, it's a surprising occurrence, I guess, but I'm very, very happy about it. Obviously, Champion going through it. I think they're probably about the only team, I think, since the season's been rolling locally that's had to deal with it. But even in our case, we get a kid, a coach, I'm not feeling well, they got to stay home, and now weirdly you're kind of rooting that it's a sinus infection or something, because just one phone call and you could be shut down. So I am surprised, but I'm also thankful at the same time.
Jim Parry, the head football coach of the Niles Red Dragons, joining me on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Niles looking for their fourth victory of this season as they take on 2-3 Girard Friday night at Girard. Obviously, you want to have as much momentum as possible going into the postseason. So, forget about the fact that this is a rival game. This is a game that you certainly want to win for many, many, many reasons. The biggest of which is you want some momentum going into the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, some people, you get a loss. No, I never feel that way. If I get a choice, we want to win football games. But to be honest with you, to us, and I know to our kids, it really is just about Girard right now, because this is a very important game to both communities, and those rivalry games are fun. And in a year where you weren't sure if you were going to get to play them, obviously not getting to play Howland week 1, and having Howland on the schedule next week, if either one of us win, we won't get that. This is the big one for our kids. So we're dialed in, and that's a good thing, because to prepare for the playoffs, you have to be able to dial in every week. So, I think Girard sets us up for great preparation moving forward.
Coach, if you have a opportunity, should you be eliminated from the postseason early, are you guys planning on playing some games post-playoff appearance to fill in the remaining weeks? Because from what I understand, the OHSAA is going to allow everyone to play 10 games if they want to. And clearly you get the 6 games, barring any disaster. You get your 6th game tomorrow against Girard, and your 7th game next week against Ravenna. If you're eliminated before week 10, do you have plans to have football post-playoff appearance?
Yeah, and like I said, we have some games tentatively scheduled. We plan on playing Howland. Should both of us lose week 8, we have Hubbard scheduled week 9. We would definitely look for an opponent in 10, and then really you can play into weeks 11 and 12, and I believe 13 if you win a few games into the playoffs. So you're allowed 10 regular season games plus your playoff games up to a certain point. I think there's a cutoff of the date, might be November 13th. So we want to play as many games as we can. We believe that's in the best interest of our program. And, it's just like fielding a freshman team. Our numbers, we only have about 16 kids there, but, we want to play that freshman schedule, get as many kids out on the field as possible, and try to play every JV game and so forth. So we feel that's an important component to our program, is play as many games as you can. So if we can play 11, 12, 13 games, whatever it may be, we want to try to do that.
Hey, Coach, best of luck to you on Friday nights when you guys take on Girard. Tell Coach Kemp I said hi, and I still believe that there is a very special place for you in the afterworld for having put up with him.
Well, and you know what? I believe you're correct, and I know we've talked about this, Ron, but between he and Coach Bourne, I got to have some kind of points toward heaven there. It really, I really hope that the man upstairs is taking notice of what I'm doing here.
Speaking of Coach Bourne, and obviously we don't want to throw around any wisecracks about age, but how is everything in terms of the COVID world? I know we heard from Coach Bourne recently. He did an interview with Steve Ruman from The Vindicator. Has everyone, knock on wood, been healthy this year and no problems whatsoever?
Well, we actually did have a coach test positive, but it happened to be on a time when we were off for a week, so we kind of lucked out that we didn't have to really shut the program down. But, Coach Bourne, he's near and dear to my heart. I do worry about that, but he doesn't, just because that's his mentality, And to be honest with you, he is in great health. he's probably in better health than half of our staff, including me. He really takes care of himself. He rides his bike a couple miles every day and so forth. But somebody at his age, yeah, you definitely worry if something were to happen. But I can assure you, Coach is just himself every day.
Listen, I deal with it with my dad, and he's up there in age, probably a little older than Coach Boren, and it's the same thing. I mean, they have their mentality, and you got to respect that for sure.
Yes, sir. And we're just thankful to have him with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach, best of luck to you on Friday night, and let's get win number 4 for the Red Dragons.
We'll give it our best. Thanks, Ron.
You got it. Coach Jim Parry from the Niles Red Dragons, and they get Ravenna in round 1 of the D3 Region 9 playoffs.